The Choose Yourself Guide to Wealth by James Altucher, my book review. It's Hugh from Financially Free by 40, and as I've just stated, I'm going to be going through my thoughts on the book Choose Yourself Guide to Wealth. Now, I read this during December in bit parts, actually. I was just kind of dipping in and out. It wasn't one of those books that really captured me and I just had to feel like I read the whole thing. So I kept ducking in and out of reading it, which in itself might not be a positive and probably isn't, but I still took a lot of value from this book. I don't have the hard copy. I got this from Kindle, and that's one of the first things I want to start with, actually. This book just cost 99 pence. And I don't know if any of you know who James Altucher is, but I would still recommend checking out his website and his blog, jamesaltucher.com. I will get a shot of the logo of the book at the very least, so you guys can see what it looks like. But he's a very quirky guy. He's a bit of an introvert. He's a bit geeky, but he just speaks so honestly and authentically. If you watch him on YouTube as well, I think he's a great talker, and he's very witty as well. He's very self-deprecating, but he knows what he's talking about too. So I don't agree with all of his thoughts. He's someone that just says what he feels, and I would say that there was a chunk of the time, at least half of the stuff I really agree with him on, and the other half not so much. And maybe that was part of it for me with this book. There was stuff that I was reading some of the chapters thinking, I don't agree with anything he's saying here. And James he speaks from the heart, and I really like that, and I respect that. He doesn't always speak from research and backing it up. It's just what he's found or what he thinks. And I think there's a lot of basis to that, and there's also a lot to be challenged with that too. I mean, if you're interested, you have to make your own mind up. I mean, there's a lot of work within this. For 99p, you get shitloads of information. So I'm just going to very quickly whiz through some of the stuff that he talks about to give you an idea and to see whether or not you want to share that too. The start of it, James Altucher came up with the brand Choose Yourself, which is all about really working for you. Pick you over working for a big corporation. So he starts off the book focusing on his earlier book, which was called Choose Yourself. I think again that's going for 99 cents or 99p. That's another great book. I've read that as well. That was last year. But it's all about avoiding some of the pitfalls that most of us go into with social pressure, which is don't buy a house, rent, don't go to university, become an entrepreneur, come up with ideas and do things you're passionate about. So I think a lot of what he talks about, the essence of his kind of brand, is awesome, and I've got a lot of time for that. The first chunk of this book is focused on some of the points on Choose Yourself. I think it's really to summarize for people that haven't read that book. So once he goes through those points, he then moves on to the kind of the money side, and he starts with it's a new game with new rules. What if you don't know what your passion is, and helping you find that out? How to sell anything, how to convince anyone of anything in 60 seconds. I mean, you'll see a lot of those taglines from James because they're from his blog posts. So he's a blogger. He's been blogging for a long time. I really love his writing style. He would just say whatever's kind of little thing that's going on in his mind, he'll just write it out, and he won't edit it, he just leaves it in there. I think it's brilliant. To that end, there were mistakes in this book. I noticed actually like a handful of editing errors, but which wasn't off-putting totally, but it was still a little bit like, come on man, someone should have cleaned that up. But he has these tagline kind of short, sharp messages, like blog posts, which he's basically littered in this book. So it's a little bit disjointed, but if you can, if you're thinking of a 99p and you're interested in earning money and becoming wealthy, I still think it's worth taking a look at it. In particular, the one point that I mentioned a moment ago, becoming an ideas machine. This is really what's founded his success. So James has this little task. I'm going to get this if I can find it. No, here it is. Here we go. And he says that you should get a little waiter's pad, which I've got because they're very cheap, and every single day you're supposed to write 10 ideas down. It doesn't even matter what they are. He recommends you can start on yourself and even then just start thinking about other people. So you can say 10 ways for me to make money, and you're going to write down 10 ways to make money. And then within one might be write a book. You might think, oh, I can do Kindle publishing. Okay, 10 book titles that I can write about. And then you can just take it for different layers. He's even put maybe your partner or a friend, if they have their own business, 10 ways they can improve their business. And every single day, if you get into the habit of this, he believes after 3 months you get your idea brain going, and it's like you have like an ideas muscle, like a creativity muscle, and by working it every day and thinking about this, this has helped him to no end. And he said after 6 months of doing it straight, he's made millions and millions from ideas alone. So he sent them to, like Google, big players, big entrepreneurs, investors, and he's just given them his honest opinion on how they can improve stuff at no charge, not asking for anything. And he said good just naturally comes back to him. So that concept is in Choose Yourself, but it also comes up in this as well. So I think, my review so far hasn't been as positive on the other ones. For that reason alone, for 99p, for how he goes into detail and what it does for you and how you can help other people, I think it's totally worth it. So he's going on to developing habits for abundance, how to negotiate with anyone, which was quite funny, but it wasn't one that I took a lot from. Why to-do lists don't work. So there's a lot of kind of taglines which are very, very interesting. But the section that really called out to me was part 2, which is making money in the 21st century. He talks about trends in particular, and James actually worked he worked on Wall Street, and he was an investment fund manager. I think he did that for a few years as well. I don't know if I've got the title right there, to be honest, because I finished reading this right at the start of January a month ago. But he talks about his thoughts on the trends of biotech, healthcare, observation, temporary workforce, robotics, chemistry, and financial technology. And the lessons he learned from building his own business, cheat sheets for starting and building a business, how to value a company, scalability, monopoly, brand, demographics. So there was a lot of stuff in there that I find interesting. This book, to kind of summarize, it's a low barrier of entry, so it's really cheap to get in, 99p. There's a lot of information in it about all different types of things. It's based around wealth, but there's life lessons throughout. And I think you can cherry pick the bits to stand out to you because it's £1. It's like a drink. Anyone can save £1 to put in. I challenge you actually to put £1 in and to not find some benefit in this book. And he actually says, I think at the end of this, is typical James fashion, that he'll actually refund your £1. He wanted it to be so low, not free but low, that anyone could get it and they'll benefit from it. And he said if you didn't like his, or if you didn't find any value in it, he said he'll give you the money back. Just take a picture of the receipt and he'll send it back to you, not a problem at all. Which I don't know how many people do that, but I certainly found enough value to make it worthwhile. Yeah, I think I'll end it there actually. The Choose Yourself Guide to Wealth for 99p, I think it's a steal. There's a lot of good stuff in it, and I'm sure you would find something. If you've read it, let me know your thoughts to see if you like it too, what particular sections that you liked or you didn't like. And like your video and subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you in the next one.